you.
318.
You're good to go. Let's go call them in.
Yeah, please.
Murray wanted to run for commission.
Does he?
Oh, boy. I said, why does he want to be here? He didn't do very well on the school board. You know that. I don't know what his idea is.
Something to do, probably.
I can, sure.
We both, I don't know. Want to do it in my phone?
What's this here?
So,
Thank you.
What's that thing there?
Moving on to personnel matters, commendations and awards, Chief Canfield.
Pleased to present that we have a new officer to be sworn in. And I have Lieutenant Chris Noyes is here to do that presentation.
Hello, everybody. You can come on up here. So it's my pleasure to introduce Jordan Hunold. He was born and raised in Laconia with his mom and dad and younger sister. He always wanted to be a police officer ever since he was a small kid. And after leaving the Army, he applied to be a Laconia Police Department to serve and protect the community he grew up in. In his spare time, he likes to work out at the gym and spending time outdoors. So this is Jordan Hunold.
So do you, Jordan D. Hunold, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon yourself as a full-time police officer for the city of Laconia, New Hampshire, according to the best of your abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the Laconia Police Department, the Constitution of the United States, the laws of the state of New Hampshire, and the ordinances of the city of Laconia, New Hampshire, so help you God.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations.
Is he signing you also?
So we're gonna sign right there. Yep, right there. Thank you.
Jordan? Come on up. So I recognize two other people in the room. In the back on the left is City Manager Kirk Biotti, and on the right is Councilor Bruce Cheney. Councilor Bruce Cheney is the liaison to the Police Commission from the City Council, so some familiar faces, so you guys know who they are. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
If you want to shake the Commission's hand as well.
Welcome aboard.
welcome aboard.
Jordan, how about a family picture? We'll get a picture of you with the commissioners afterwards too. Are you boycotting it? You don't want to be in it?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if I could.
Sorry. Gonna send all these to you, but you'd like a picture with the commissioners in the background?
Yes, ma'am.
Come and stand up so that's. Anywhere in there, there we go. There you go, all right.
Perfect.
I'll
Congratulations.
send them to you, Sofa. Call them later today. Congratulations.
Perfect, thank you.
those down to.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to resignations and retirements. Chief Canfield.
Nothing. I do want to note that the swearing in of Jordan brings us to full staff.
Good. Promotions and classification changes. Chief Canfield.
Nothing.
Command staff reports. Chief Canfield.
The detective division has been very busy with a number of very serious felony-level investigations. They just completed an investigation of another child sex abuse images case. This originated with an ICAC tip that began in January. So it was more than several months of investigation, multiple search warrants, but they were able to execute a search warrant on the residence. They found a considerable amount of electronic evidence, which led to his arrest the other day. So he was arrested and charged with 5 felony counts of child sex abuse images. So some great work on their part. They continue to do a lot of grant work, maintenance on existing grants, and also searching out new grants. We did submit 2 more grants to the Congressman Chris Pappas's office and Senator Jean Shaheen's office. The first grant was for $98,799 to provide for a ferro laser scanning device, as well as a drone forensic mapping project. This program would speed up certain aspects of our technical accident investigation where the finite details with the scanner are not necessarily needed, but they could be done from the drone and scan the area much quicker, working in combination with the drone. The second grant was for approximately the same amount of money, and that was to seek a police firearms range training facility. Right now, we use the Guilford Range. I can tell you they were out there today doing firearms, and there was considerable amount of water, so they actually had to shoot from the back of the pickup truck. So we're looking to develop something on city property that will be a presentation to you at a later date. Continue to work with the fence project at the PD. It's been a very slow process with the company, but we're hoping that wraps up in the next couple of months. They're conducting in-service training this month on specifically breaching some of the takeaways from the Uvalde school shooting in southern Texas. This was indicated in their after-action report, so we saw that and thought it was a time that we should maybe do a little bit more breaching training for our regular patrol officers in the event of an active shooter situation. We had a tabletop exercise scheduled for yesterday in preparation for our full-scale exercise. It was canceled due to the weather. Hopefully that'll be rescheduled in the next several weeks. And then lastly, we have a full-scale training exercise that's to take place on April 15th. It's a Saturday at the Pleasant Street Elementary School. This is the copy of the notice that went out, or will be going out, noticing residents. So that'll go out through our social media channels, the newspaper, as well as we'll be knocking on doors to the immediate neighbors in that area. We realize that there'll be some inconvenience that morning, but the training opportunity, working with all of our law enforcement partners, as well as the folks at Homeland Security who are organizing and ultimately paying for this bill, which we're very appreciative of. And that's it for support.
That's a good thing to do. That's.
Yeah, we'll also be
Good
putting
thing.
some electronic signboards out the week
Yep.
before, so we just want the message to be very clear. Like, one, we don't alarm people with the large police presence in the area, but also the inconvenience that people know ahead of time, so.
That's nice.
Good idea.
Moving on to Operations Division.
Operations Division has been busy with the summer scheduling already, moving forward with that, as well as a number of meetings with the Special Events Committee and interagencies, planning for Motorcycle Week operations, as this is the 100th anniversary, and we anticipate it may be a little bit busier based on what we saw last year. So they're in the full throes of that.
Hirings, Chief.
Nothing?
Moving on to Commission action. You've all received a copy of the previous meeting minutes. Any concerns, issues, or changes?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion made by Commissioner Mello, was seconded by Commissioner Davis, passes unanimously. The meeting minutes were accepted as distributed. Review of monthly activity reports.
So
Chief
for the month
Canfield.
of February, we responded to a total of 1,650 calls for service, conducted 47 different park walk and talks, 405 extra patrol requests, 21 community policing events where we spoke or did presentations to different community groups, investigated 240 criminal offenses, clearing 149 of those by arrest, 80 of those by physical custody arrest. Took 13 people into custody for intoxication, responded to 23 domestic disturbance calls, 45 other disturbance calls, 8 suicidal subjects, and investigated 7 violation restraining orders. Laconia Police Department volunteers volunteered 14 hours of their time for different community events. And the Victim Services Unit volunteers volunteered 8 hours for the month.
Any questions? Moving on to Criminal Investigative Unit statistics. Chief Canfield.
For the month of February, they took on 23 new cases, conducted follow-up investigations for 11 other cases, made 1 felony arrest, initiated 1 felony charge, made 1 misdemeanor arrest, initiated 3 misdemeanor charges, conducted 13 search warrant or arrest warrants, cleared 1 case exceptionally, cleared 1 case by means of unfounded, conducted 20 sex offender registrations, 7 computer-related cyber tips, 1 cell phone electronic device extraction, conducted 2 knock and talks, 9 field interviews, 5 drug intel sheets, and then they covered 88 patrol shift hours due to some short shift because of some people in the academy, and did 62 body-worn camera redactions, and that's it.
Moving on to budget printouts. Chief Canfield.
Our budget is on track. We're at 61.54% of the way through the year, and our current budget is at 66.26, so we're considerably under our budget at this point.
Questions? Monthly traffic statistics. Chief Canfield.
For the month of February, we issued 15 parking tickets, responded to a total of 31 motor vehicle accidents, 5 of which had injury, made a total of 295 motor vehicle stops, issued 6 summonses, and 263 written warnings.
Moving on to monthly fleet report. Chief Canfield.
I don't have anything specifically on the fleet report unless you have any questions. We are in the process of still trying to get our vehicles outfitted that were in this year's budget as of July 1st. Unfortunately, getting equipment, even though it was ordered many, 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 many months ago, has been slow. We expect the next car to be on the road within the next couple of weeks, so it is moving forward, albeit slower than we would like, but that is kind of out of our hands at the moment.
Anything? All right, moving on to correspondence to and from the department.
There's
Chief Canfield.
a very nice thank you email from a mother who was thanking an officer for trying to track down her 12-year-old daughter who was missing from home and never showed up at school. So it was nice that she took the time to reach out, and she was certainly very appreciative for the officer's help and assistance in getting her daughter to be returned back home.
Chief's report, Chief Canfield.
Approximately a dozen of our employees participated in the Special Olympics Winnie Dip on Saturday morning over at the Margate Resort. I was there, but I did not jump in the cold water. They certainly did, and very good representatives, and I think we had one of the, if not the largest turnout from other police agencies. So it was very nice to see how much these officers, take this personally and really believe in the cause and take their own time to do this. So that was certainly a good thing. In response to the incident that happened in Memphis, Tennessee, with the Memphis Police Department, where 5 officers ultimately were charged with homicide as a result of a use of force. We did a debrief in our staff meeting last month. But then I'm a member of an organization called the Police Executive Research Forum. So I happen to know the executive director fairly well, and we got to talking, and I asked if he was conducting 7 debriefs or Monday morning quarterbacks of the incident around the country. And I threw it out to him that we'd be willing to host it here in Laconia for New Hampshire and New England. I didn't think he'd bite on it because we're obviously a lot smaller in New Hampshire than we are in the major cities. But he took us up on it, and he flew up from DC last Wednesday. We held the event at the Bean Center. We invited other police leadership from throughout the state, New England, and we had a good group there. So it was a really good debrief, a really good discussion, and methods of preventing some of the stuff that we heard out of there. Certainly not to be critical of Memphis, but there were things that went wrong, and I think there's certainly some safeguards that we have in place to prevent that from happening here. So very good discussion and training. As the commission knows, we had the New Hampshire Veterans Home at the police department about a week and a half ago for a luncheon. They came down and just had a discussion on policing and what was happening in the police world, and they brought some lunch, and it was just a really nice conversation and group discussion. We assisted Make-A-Wish with an escort for a Laconia child who has a very serious disability. Make-A-Wish was sending them to Hawaii for her dream vacation, so we escorted them from their house in Laconia outside at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think that was very well received by the family. We have had a total of 8 overdoses this year. I don't know the exact number of the overdose deaths as of yet because we're waiting on some lab results, but we're probably looking at 3 or 4 at this point. There's a new drug on the street called xylazine. It's a large animal veterinary medicine that is being used to cut heroin, and it's much more deadly than fentanyl, and certainly there's no reversal for that like there is with Narcan with heroin. So that's responsible for a number of deaths throughout New Hampshire for drug overdoses, and we're seeing that here in Laconia. We made an arrest last fall. We got the lab results back just recently, and that was confirmed to be xylazole as well. Line of duty deaths across the nation are 18. And then I just want to take a moment to speak about the new Spider software that we kicked off last week. turn these TVs on? Yep. There we go. But it's not the computer, though. No way of.
I can get him to do it.
Yeah, if you can.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
So we launched this on the 10th of last month. And essentially, when a caller calls the police department, as soon as the dispatcher hangs up with them, if it's a mobile caller, they'll get a text message saying, we've received your complaint, or we've received your call, and it notifies them that we're en route. Once the officer is clear, once they clear the call in the CAD program, it automatically sends the caller a text message saying, giving the officer's name, their badge number, giving them a link if they have any additional follow-up information. More importantly is the ability that if the call is held for more than 30 minutes, it automatically sends them a text message. So if an officer's called to a criminal mischief complaint, but he gets diverted to a priority call, a fight or injury accident or something like that, if the officer doesn't arrive within 30 minutes, it'll send a follow-up text to the caller saying that the officer's been delayed for a priority call and give a new estimated time. In addition to that, once the call is complete, it sends the caller a link to a survey that they can do through a text message. It's mobile friendly, so it takes just a few minutes to do the survey. And then in addition, if someone reports a criminal, makes a criminal complaint, like an investigation, like assault investigation, and once the investigation is closed, no matter how long the investigation takes, it'll send the caller a follow-up text message notifying them of the disposition of the case. So the case has been closed due to no further leads, the case has been closed or referred to the county attorney's office for prosecution, or whatever the clearance code is, it'll send that to the caller as well. In addition, it updates the victims. So any victim of a crime, it sends them a follow-up text message as well.
Can't do all 3 TVs at the same time. Do you want just,
Counsel, you mind
Counselor
sitting
Cheney
up
to
there so you
move
can see that?
so we can see it?
Yeah, that's fine, that'll work.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, he just wanted to see if he could get up on those 2 videos.
You can point the camera and it'll show up there, but I can't have it look like that on all 3 TVs. It's not set up that way.
All right, thank you.
So since this was launched on March 10th, the computer system sent out a total of 262 text messages, and the survey completion rate is 22% of all surveys sent out. Now, in speaking with this company, 22% for survey return rate is excellent. We have the surveys now that the officer has the QR code on their business card that people can scan, or they can go on the website and fill out a survey. We get 1, maybe 2 a month, because people have to take the effort to do it. So 22% rate is very, very good. This is a report that I will be including in the monthly police commission packet. It won't start until next month, because they'll send an email with the synopsis of it. That's why I'm doing it on the computer. But these are some of the comments that we've received on the automatic surveys. Overwhelmingly, very, very positive comments. Top categories for messages that we've sent has been for calls involving officer wanted, followed by accident and welfare check and intoxicated subjects. And then it gives us this every month as well. So as part of the survey, now bear in mind that these survey responses are only from 22%. So if you look at this rating, out of 11 responses, were rated a 4.91 out of 5 for how pleased people are with the interaction that they had with an officer. How would you rate dispatch? We're rated a 4.71 out of a 5. That's out of 17 total responses. How satisfied are you with the department? 4.53 out of 5. That's out of 17 responses. So I look at those numbers as really, really good, especially judging that they're from limited number of responses at this point. Certainly as time builds, that data is going to build, and those will probably be a lot more true. So just wanted to give you an overview of that. That is what the program's all about. Certainly we are the only agency in the state of New Hampshire to do this. In fact, I joked with the company when we signed the contract with them and said, I asked them if we were the first, if anyone else in New Hampshire was using it, and they said no. So I asked if we could get a discount because we were the guinea pig for New Hampshire, and they did. So, but then since then, we've had numerous other inquiries from departments that have heard about this, asking what this software is that we have. So certainly something I think we're very happy about, and I think it will improve customer service. I kind of relate it to like Amazon. If you order a package from Amazon and your package is supposed to arrive on a specific day and it doesn't arrive, you get annoyed. But if you get a text message saying your package has been delayed by a day, you're okay with it. So I think it'll definitely improve our customer service and our service delivery, plus feedback from the community with those community interaction surveys. Bearing in mind that not all of our customers are going to be happy with our their service because they're on the receiving end of the criminal justice system maybe, but overall, I think having that input and that community feedback is a good thing and gives us the ability to adjust. So,
Do they have to log in separately for this, or how does that interact with?
it's not, it's automatic. So if they call with a mobile number, it goes out automatically.
It does.
Yep,
So they don't have to enter anything above and beyond what they normally do then?
they do not.
Yeah,
Nope.
that's great.
And they can complete the survey just by clicking on that link. They don't have to sign in or do anything. So,
The officers, do they have to, how does that work with the officers? They,
it's tied into the computer-aided dispatch console. So the dispatcher makes the call for service as they're talking to the person on the phone, and it's automatic from there. It ties it to that
Just
case
takes it from
number.
there, yeah.
And takes it from there, so there's no additional work on the dispatcher's part.
Yep.
There's no additional work on the officer's part.
right,
Or what if they call in on a landline?
It will not do that. If for some reason we happen to obtain an email address for the caller, it would send an email to them, although we don't really take email addresses very often, but it would track an email. But I would say most of our callers are mobile callers at this point. That's it.
Moving on.
That is all I have.
Old business, new business, other business. Okay, can we backtrack just a little bit to the monthly highlights? To the portion that deals with motor vehicle stops, summonses, and written warnings. And it's like anywhere from a 33 to a 39% decrease. I think we talked about this once before.
We did, and I am working to change the way those percentages are reported. It's not accurate because it's taken a very small snapshot in time. I have the 10-year and the 20-year traffic statistics, of which last year ranked second highest, I believe it was, or third highest in the last 20 years. So I'm working on preparing a report for that, and I'll have that for you at the next commission meeting, as well as a revamped way of these statistics being reported, so it's a little bit more accurate, comparing it to a 10-year average versus a month-to-month average, because there can be just so much fluctuation.
Yeah. Citizen comments.
You know I'm rather shy, but as usual, I apologize for my appearance. Horses and snow make me look like this.
No,
Well, enough said. Man shouldn't own horses. My wife says girls should own horses. And they grow up and go away, and I'm still there with the horses. Anyways, a couple of comments. First, I was hoping maybe get a copy of some of this.
Absolutely.
I'd like to report this to the council. I think this is outstanding. I hope you feel the same way. One last thing I'll tell you about, just yesterday, I needed something out of my truck. I tell you that because I'm strapped up here. My wife said, don't go out there in your slippers. Of course, I knew better, so, and my feet went up and my whole body slammed to the ground. I did something to this. I hurt my elbow. My neck's hurting. And the real pain is when you have to go back inside, and she was right. Anyways, I want to first compliment our chief. I'm always impressed with his intelligence and his acumen, but the fact that he didn't go in the water for the Special Olympics, I think shows that he's even brighter than I gave him credit for. The real reason I'm here is to tell you about our meeting with the library recently. I don't know if you've made a report about this or not.
I have not.
I think you may be aware, a year ago, in the course of our doing appointment meetings, that is with people who wanted to be appointed to boards or commissions, the chairman, I think, is the chairman of the library board, Mr. Moriarty, made the statement that they were considering adding a security officer to the budget of the library because they're having so many problems with the homeless. I met with the chief in, I think, several meetings, but we talked about trying to help with that problem. I don't think anybody on the council thought that adding a security officer was the best idea in the world. We have 30 or 40 of them that ought to be able to help out in most cases. The homeless are a problem going in the bathrooms, shooting up or whatever they're doing. The bathrooms are right next to the children's library, so that was an added problem. The library has done some things on their own. They've locked the bathrooms and you have to go get a key to go in. They're in the process of putting an odor detector in there so they can smell if somebody's smoking or whatever. And they're having their people talk to some of the folks in there that I just yesterday got their new rules that were published in December, which don't allow sleeping. You can't put your head down on the desk. If you do any of those things, they ask you to stop. If you don't stop, they call the police. What's significant about that meeting, as far as I'm concerned, is the director of the library said the Laconia Police Department was near instantaneous, I think that was the word she used, in responding when the library calls. And I'm proud of that fact. I'm proud of what our police officers are doing. But the strength was that, you know, we asked for some extra help from the police department. The chief saw to it that we had rapid response to complaints at the library. Homeless in the library is, I suspect, never going to go away. It was a problem when I was here. But I just wanted the commission to know that the council and the people at the library are very appreciative of the response of the Laconia Police Department to this issue. So I do want to thank you all, but particularly the chief and the men and women who represent us on the street for making that problem diminish dramatically. Last year, I forget the numbers, maybe the chief can help me here. I'm going to say there were 50 people that were issued no trespass orders last year, and this, you know, to keep them out of the library, which might require on occasion the police department going over to enforce that. And they're down now this year to something like 20 or 25, which is a reflection, as she said, of the police department's response. Those folks that go in there and in some way misbehave got the message. The cops will be here in a couple of minutes, so behave. The other problem we identified at that meeting was that her problems exist from 2 in the afternoon until 8 o'clock at night. Isaiah closes at 2 and reopens at 8. If you're not familiar with Isaiah, that's the place on Railroad Ave, or whatever that's called, right next to the PD, that place for the homeless. So we gotta try to talk about that. This is a longer range thing, but we gotta try to talk about finding some way to fill in that space. I'm not sure what the answer is. Moriarty said we had to be careful because the people running Isaiah made the statement at a Rotary meeting that they wanted to buy up the houses surrounding that so they could start keeping people there. And I don't think that's something we want in our downtown area. There was one other thing that's escaped me at the moment. I remember. I had a short meeting or breakfast with the chief recently and mentioned to him that I hoped he would start working on projecting our needs going forward. I've asked both chiefs, the fire and police, to start thinking about the state school property. And as it grows, what do we need in the way of police and fire and other support within the city? What I'm worried about is it'll happen and then we respond, and in the meantime, things turn to poop. I'd rather he and the fire chief make some projections, and as things start to move, we have goals where if this much growth, this many more police officers, this many more firefighters, particularly EMTs. So, to let the commission know, I've asked him to sort of work on some of those things, and I think he understands where I'd like to see him go. I frankly think we need to give you some more help already, but that's a battle to fight at the city council, not here. And I hope to, whatever time I have left on the council, to see to it that the two first responder departments get the manning they need for this growth. It's my personal opinion, this growth is not going to be casual. I think it's going to be significant. I think last number I heard was 1,300 homes. And I don't think that included the elder care. I don't expect they'd be a lot of trouble, but from the fire department standpoint, they probably will be in need. But all I'm saying to you is, I think the growth there, once it starts, will be significant and quick, and we can't afford to, I don't think we can afford to be caught short in trying to police and provide other first responder response to that growth. And it's not alone. You look around this city, there's a lot of growth. Right now, it's a lot of folks from out of town who are buying up expensive pieces of property. But there's a residual effect to that, and you're gonna see growth most everywhere. So I didn't mean to prattle on for so long. If you have any questions, if not, I'll shut up and sit down. Great, thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order?
No, sir.
Hearing none, confirmation of the next meeting date, April 19th. Seems good. Elaine I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that?
Second, motion made by Commissioner Mello, seconded by Commissioner Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously, and the meeting's adjourned at 3:58 PM.
How many houses they putting into that, do you know how many houses they're putting into that rentals up there on the, Prescott Hill?